Friends, welcome back. So anyway, tonight we're talking about 4 free tools for engaging your students. I don't know about you, but I taught 8th grade and up, and there were times when my students were, let's just say, not engaged. I recall a boy that I taught who was in the 11th grade, and this boy came in every day with a nice chicken biscuit. It was second period, so I don't know if he just checked into school, if he left early and went and got a chicken biscuit, if he was a princess and his mom brought it to him, I don't know. But every day he'd come in and he'd just put his head down on his desk, okay? So it was my main mission to engage students like this child whose mother said, and let me remind you, he was 17, whose mother was like, he's not engaged in your class. Okay, there's nothing I could do about that mother, but I could try to engage that student in my class. So if you're bored with what you teach, if your students are bored, I'm going to get to 4 tools that you can use. You could start using them tomorrow. I mean, probably not all 4, but they're all 4 available for you to use as soon as you want to. And one of them you're looking at right now. I had a better screen up, and I actually want to remind you that if you ever want the associated, this is not going the right place. If you ever want the goods on everything I'm sharing here, but in more detail, you go to SuzyLolley.com, and I have my most recent post will always be at the top. So tomorrow, the post related to tonight's content will go live. I wrote 1,600 words, so feel free to skim read. But if you just need a reminder, a refresher, you're more of a reader than a listener, then you've got that opportunity. So you can go there, and I'm going to just kind of give an overview of what I'm sharing there tomorrow in this live broadcast. You ready? So I'm always going to say, before you pick a tool, you've got to think about why you're picking the tool. So I'm going to give you 5 tips on why you should pick the tools you're going to pick. And I always, y'all, if I glance down, it's because I have ye old notebook that I am using. I always write myself some reminders. And I forgot you can't see my phone. You won't even know if I glance down. Anyway, let's start with tip number 1 before we get to the tools. Tip number 1 is you want a tool that allow your students to have a live response component. I don't care what grade you're teaching. I taught, again, 8th grade and up. And so they're not super enthusiastic really for anything. Okay. And I taught English. I had some kids that were like, oh, I just love literature. But a lot of times when they're having to read things that you're asking them to read, there's still not that engagement. What's so cool is I remember a particularly difficult freshman class that I taught my last year that I was in the classroom. And this freshman boy just got such a kick out of being able to, have his response post up on the board immediately. Now, of course, there are dangers with this. So I'll just go ahead and start with that. I had a boy who, that sweet boy who was so excited, put a cuss word or something up on the board with his response, okay? Because this particular tool did not track their names. I'm going to give that tip in just a minute. It didn't track their names, and so this kid just threw something nasty up there, and all the other kids were mad because I shut the tool down. They all told on him. He thought I had mad investigative skills, but really high schoolers telling each other is how it works in the real world. So I was able to deal with him, and you know what? The next time I came back to that tool, live response was no problem. So I want to say, if you're looking for engagement tools, kids really do enjoy something where they can see their name, their face, their response pop up immediately on the board. So there's several tools like that. We're going to talk about several of them just in a minute, okay? My second tip before you pick a tool is to think about anonymous versus named posts, and that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but there are going to be some times that you need anonymous data from your students. If you ask them if you're the greatest teacher in the world and they know that you know who wrote it, their data is not going to be probably as accurate as if you ask for anonymous feedback. I would probably, just from past experience, not ask my students if they thought I was the greatest teacher in the world. You might be, they might love you, I don't know. And I had good kids who loved me too. I'm not trying to sound like Eeyore, but my point is, if you ask for honest, expect honest. But what's cool is you can either find one tool that will give you anonymous or named posts, or you could use a couple. And that leads me to my third tip. Don't use the same tool over and over, y'all. That is so boring. True life story. One of the schools where I'm a trainer, I had a sweet male teacher, and I had taught him Sway, and then he had a Sway refresher the next year. Sway I've talked about previously on live sessions and also on my blog. And Sway is basically a digital presentation tool. It's like a digital poster if you're familiar with Glogster, that kind of thing. And so he had Sway training, and he said, Suzy, I've got my kids doing a Sway a week. And I smiled at him, and I was proud of him, but I thought, oh my gosh, that has to be so boring for his students. So don't get so attached to a tool would be tip number 3. Number 4, pick tools the kids like. Now, I know that's hard sometimes with older kids, but really, even the kids who don't show it all the time, there are certain tools that you can tell they're really more eager to respond to. So it's okay to pick one they like, and it's okay, like I said, to change it up. Next, you want to pick something free or affordable. Free is preferable, obviously, but there are times when you're like, man, I really want that other feature that this free version doesn't have. And all the things I'm going to show you, or 3 of the things I'm going to show you tonight are, have a paid or a free version. If you're going to pay for something, and I have done that before, I paid for Screencast-O-Matic a few years ago because I like to do screen recordings before I knew about Office Mix. Screencast-O-Matic, I think, was $12 for a year. Y'all, that's $1 a month. So I divided that out. I was like, okay, if I'm going to make a video a month, this is worth my money. If something is $600 a year and you don't have that amount of money to spend on it, or you're not going to use it but once, either get your PTA to give you a grant or something like that. But I would not spend your money. I'd think about, same as if you're going to buy like a fancy dress or something. How often am I going to wear this? And think about your pay per use. And then finally, and this is super important, but we don't think about it a lot. You want to think about whether the tool, if it's free, is it mining your students' data? I want you to think about if you had your child in the classroom and you knew that everything your child searched for would be used to target them in ads. Would that bother you? The children in your classroom are your children for this purpose and this period of time. And so I want you to think about tools that have a very good privacy policy. And you might say, Suzy, I don't know how to find that. Well, there's something so cool. I actually had all these tabs saved, but I did not save this one, so I'm just going to show it to you. But it's called Common Sense Education. If you've never heard of Common Sense Education, they do a lot with reviewing different apps and programs that you might want to use with your students. They do a lot with digital citizenship. But one of the things that's almost brand new, I found out about this in 2016 at ISTE, which is the largest technology conference. At ISTE, I was invited to a dinner where Common Sense introduced their privacy initiative. And what they do is they have companies do a policy review, and they have to answer all kinds of questions that will show you the privacy of that company. So when I click on privacy evaluations, and there's something I like. Okay, so for example, let's look at Kahoot. I don't know if it's going to be on here, but we'll look. Okay, they didn't do one yet. Okay, we'll just use one of the ones that was on the front page. Bad example. Animoto I've been using for years, okay? And I want you to notice that Animoto got only a 47 review. So what's cool is it tells you why over here. The company actually completes their own survey, but then this Common Sense Privacy Initiative is the one who evaluates and shares with us that data. So I have a use with caution. Okay. If I go back, there are lots of use with cautions. There are lots of not recommended. So if you have something that shouldn't be used with your children, you just got to be aware of that. So without further ado, let's get down and dirty with the tools, because I know that's why you came here tonight. That was my way to make you tune in. And hey, Anna, and hey, Trisha, thank you for joining back in. Okay, so let's start with Mentimeter. And I want this to be really interactive. So I expect to see my friends over in the comments using it with me, okay? So Mentimeter, let me just show you quickly, allows students to respond from their phones in all of these ways. Multiple choice, image, word cloud, open-ended. You can read all of these. Some interesting ones, I like the 100 points method where, I'm thinking of the activity we all probably did in school, which is you're going to a desert island. What would be your most important item you would take and why? So with the 100-point scale, I think it's where you distribute, like they can give each item a certain number of points as far as how they value it. I also like this one over here. You know what? Y'all probably can't see this, so I'm going to make it bigger. It's called Who Will Win? So as people are voting, you don't know what the other people voted. It just does a confetti celebration at the very end for the winner. I love that. So I used to do live debates in my class. I had honors freshmen at Sequoia. I moved to Etowah after that. So this was maybe 6 years ago. I had the kids research. We were reading Tuesdays with Maury. I just about jacked that up. Tuesdays with Maury, which is about a man who has Lou Gehrig's disease. And so related to that topic was euthanasia. So I had my students research euthanasia and do these one-on-one 3-minute debates. I lined them up. They sat head to head. It was really cool. And as they were debating, as soon as they finished, kids were voting on, whether they were the winners. So what would have been so cool is if I had this who will win to kind of keep the suspense going, and then all of a sudden at the end, the winner gets some confetti in the air, which is kind of cool. So if you haven't checked out Mentimeter, do. But I want you guys to go ahead and take this quiz for me, and I'm going to see. I'm waiting here until it changes. So I want you to get on your phone and go to menti.com and put in the code that's at the top, 489450. And y'all, I put the most bizarre images on here because they're what I have available on my computer. So when you make an image choice question, you can turn on percentages or not, and you also can upload images from your computer or search. So I'm going to give you just a minute on the Mentimeter, and you are putting in an image that represents you, and I'm going to vote as well. Ooh, I see someone is a wolf in the snow. Okay, I'm slow. I'm catching up with you guys. I have to sequester myself in our office because my doggies are barkers. So I think I will be this one today. Okay, so you can see that as the votes come in, the chart is really colorful. You can pick different themes. Of course, I picked a theme because I like the cuteness. And also, again, you can choose percentages. So this one's really cool. That's the image vote is not one I've seen on another site before. I've seen word clouds and things, and you can do some more of those traditional ones, but that is Mentimeter. You also can see the voting results from your phone. So if you type your email address, it will send you the voting results if you really wanted those, okay? But you can see them right now on my screen. So I would then have students, I teach the 10 and 2 method, and I've talked about that on several posts, I think, on my blog and also on the live videos. So the 10 and 2 method means you talk for 10 minutes and you apply for 2 minutes. No one has an attention span longer than 10 minutes, and that is with complete focus. So, I mean, of course, if we were working on a passion project or getting our nails done or something, maybe. But, you know, for school. So the 10 and 2 method says, again, you apply after every 10 minutes. Take about 2 minutes to apply. So wouldn't this be so cool? And then you'd have some students share the reasons. Like, I picked these, whatever they are, these woolly buffalo things, because I'm kind of bullheaded, but I'm also snuggly. So that represents me. Feel free to tell me in the comments why you picked what you did. Okay? So that was Mentimeter. Now let's go to an oldie but a goodie. This one I have been using for years, and it's called Poll Everywhere. I wanted you to see what it can do and also an example of it. So you can create all kinds of polls on Poll Everywhere, and I've always used the free version. The limit with the free version is you can save as many polls as you want, but you cannot run more than one poll at a time. So I have not explored even the, the features of the upgrade, but you could see right here pricing and upgrades if you wanted to do that. But you can receive from students multiple choice answers, a word cloud. You can do a question and answer, a clickable image, which is new. I have not seen that one. Putting things in a ranking order, survey, open-ended, and probably a lot of these are paid features. Oh, no, you can do stuff. Okay, so lots of cool stuff down there. Icebreaker, love it. Okay, lots of new questions. And y'all, I honestly jumped in here tonight at the last minute and was just going to show you one that I had already done, so didn't realize a lot of these options were up here. Very cool. So Poll Everywhere has been around forever, and I want you to think about students in your class who are very shy, or you have other students who talk over those kids, or maybe your class is structured in such a way that there's not a lot of time for individuals to share. Well, you can throw up a poll everywhere. Again, after 10 minutes, throw up a poll everywhere. Poll Everywhere is cool because you can actually embed these polls in PowerPoint or Sway. They're made to do direct embed. And Poll Everywhere was like the original back channel. When I first went to a conference and heard of doing a back channel, Poll Everywhere was kind of there at the beginning, so it's been here for years and years. And again, another great one for having kids give each other feedback. So I'm going to have you do a poll for me. So if you will go to, give me just 1 second so I can tell you how to get there. Okay, you're going to go to pollev.com/lollipop, and you have to spell that right. pollev.com/lollipop. And I'm going to do the same. And you can hear that my husband is home because Shelby is barking. So if you go to pollev.com/lollipop. Let me throw that in Crafty Text again. Crafty Text is one of my favorite Google add-ons for making things big. Oh, that made it too big. Never mind about that. Never mind. Okay, so pollev.com/lollipop. LOLLEY pop. Okay, so take a minute And I want you to go ahead and respond with your favorite technology tool you have used in your class in the last year. And if you don't teach a class, that's okay. Just give some kind of response. So I'm going to give a response here. Let's see. Say Canvas. Okay. And this is showing me as a student. So let me get back to where my poll was. Polleverywhere.com. Okay, I'm going to my polls. I'm a happy clicker, so I clicked off of it by accident. There we go. So you see some different things coming in. So we've got Canvas several times, and these were some when I did last time with the teacher. So I love that they shift around, and if somebody repeats an answer, it gets even bigger. Okay, so poll everywhere, oldie but a goodie, and you can run one poll at once. Okay, love it. Next, again, this one, y'all, is super old, but I love it. So I'm going to create a room right now, and this room is going to be called FB Live. Okay, and I'm going to make it lowercase. There we go. Okay. With today's meet, it is creating a temporary chat room. So if you're going to teach a course for 1 day, 1 hour, let's see, you can limit it to 1 hour, 2 hours. You can go all the way up to a month in the free plan, okay? You also have an option, and you can choose the name of the chat room, and it'll go away after, I'm going to say 1 hour for tonight's. You know what? I'll leave it open for a week for people who might tune in late. Instead of just opening my room from right here, though, what I want to do is I want to go log in because I get some more features. So I'm going to log in at the top. There I go. Oh, of course, it's forbidden. Isn't that exciting when it's forbidden? Okay. I always have been able to log in every day. So sorry about that. Okay, let's try one more time. FB Live. Okay. 1 week. And I'm going to open my room. So I want you to go to todaysmeet.com, no punctuation, /FB Live. I'm going to put in my nickname, and I'm going to ask you, what are you doing on spring break? And this is in the style of Twitter, so short responses. So when you get there, you're going to put in your nickname and then write me a message. So take a minute and do that. todaysmeet.com /FBL and then lowercase IVE. And as responses go in, they will be stored here, and they'll just come in to the left. And then I want to show you this, which I think is really valuable as a teacher, and it's the Room Tools. Under Room Tools, you can share this window with a QR code. You can put it on your projector. Oh, yay, Dawn. Exciting. I know not cleaning, but changing positions is exciting. I want to hear more later. And so you can do projector view. You can do your QR code. You can embed it. So I love that. Let's see if it gives us an iframe. It does not. So that may not, let me look in Moodle. Yes. If you change it to Moodle, guess what? You can embed this in Canvas. Hey, Lori. So you've got lots of options that you can do here. And here's my favorite option for teachers. I love to save a transcript. So when you click transcript, it'll give you all in writing everything that happened in that room for you to share with somebody, maybe an absent student, maybe their window's already closed, or as evidence should you have a weirdo put something bizarre in there. No, you won't know who it is, but you'll notice that you can delete. Okay, so because I'm logged in, I am able to go through, and let's just say I didn't like Lori's comment. I'm not going to delete it, just kidding. But I could go in and I could delete that immediately. Okay, so today's meet, love it. Let's finish strong. We're going to finish with my 4th tool for student engagement. It is Microsoft Forms. If I love anything about Microsoft Forms, I love how pretty it is. And yes, that might seem really shallow, but I think it makes students happy. It makes me happy. And because Forms is a responsive tool, that means if students are responding from a little bitty phone or an iPad or a big screen computer, it's going to look just as fabulous on any of them. And you can pick themes. Of course you can. I love my little undersea theme or whatever. So I want to go into one that was a survey. Okay. And if you chose to, you could take this survey. I can share it with you in just a minute. But this survey from a student perspective is going to look like this, okay? And I actually like to do the mobile preview. Isn't that cool? And it'll show me, you know, what the students would see. And I'll let y'all take that just for fun in just a minute. I can change themes on forms, okay? Colors, pictures. I can upload my own picture, which is cool. But here's what I love about student engagement. Remember I said my first tip is students can give responses and we can share those responses immediately. Well, with this type of form, look how gorgeous the data comes in. I don't have to just come over here and study these numbers. I get really beautiful visuals. And when I hover, I can tell what it meant. So I teach a class on gamifying your classroom. And by the way, I'm going to do a plug here. In the summer, I'm going to teach how to turn your Canvas course into a game. That is my plan. I'm waiting on the budget to come back. And guess what? If it's not budgeted in the school system, I will still teach it online. So get in touch with me if you're interested in that. But anyway, so this is part of the survey I did. It was a little player survey. So in that, oh, that one looks really neat. Okay, but it just comes in so beautiful, even text. It's just really nice to read. And I could quickly display this up on the board and show students, you know, this is what you said. Let's talk about that. So if you would like to take this survey, then I'm going to throw up here, hold on just a minute, a QR code. And you can scan that code. I'll leave it up for just a minute. And you can scan that code because if I showed you the link, it would be like 50 lines long. Microsoft's links are super long. But if you want to scan that QR code, you can go in and you would be able to take my player survey. And I'll check again afterward and see if I have any new people in my game. Okay, I'm going to leave that up for about 15 more seconds. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I shared several tips with you on why you would pick a tool in the first place. I shared 4 tools with you, but let me end with this. Don't fall in love with the tool. Now, I'm obviously shamelessly a Microsoft girl. I've gotten some great travel opportunities. I really enjoy their products, and I've trained on them a lot. So that's my comfort zone. But a favorite tool I have, Office Mix, is going into retirement in 2 months. If I'm just attached to the tool instead of what it does, I will be a very brokenhearted girl. Now, I'm still kind of sad because Office Mix has forever been my #2 favorite tool after OneNote. But Office Mix is going away, but what it taught me how to do, I can still do with another thing called recording in PowerPoint. So I'm not letting myself get too brokenhearted over the tool because I'm attached to the pedagogy, the why behind the tool. And as I told you earlier, I'm going to switch up the tools anyway so my students aren't getting bored. So guys, I thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Come next Tuesday, go visit my blog tomorrow after 8 p.m. and you will see this video as well as my full explanation of all the tools. And I hope you have a great evening. Bye, Joy. Bye, Lori. Bye, Trisha and Anna.